Herman, reporters try to drag tennis into politics. Unlike the entertainment industry, professional tennis has managed to stay refreshingly above the political fray. However, at the first Grand Slam of the year, the Australian Open, which ended Sunday, several reporters sought to infect the sport with their ideological agenda. Reporters looking to stir up trouble in the press room were goading American players, particularly those with foreign-sounding last names. Instead of asking them about their match, they were baiting athletes to share their thoughts on everything that's been happening in the United States in the past year. It was a thinly veiled invitation to trash Donald Trump in front of an international media audience. Most players were savvy enough not to step into the trap. Taylor Fritz, the incredibly hardworking and focused American competitor, saw the question for what it was: a big fat pull into politics and an unwelcome distraction. I feel like whatever I say here is going to get put into a headline, and it's going to get taken out of context, so I would really rather not do something that is going to cause a big distraction for me in the middle of the tournament. When asked how it felt to play under the American flag right now, 24-year-old Amanda Anisimova showed wisdom beyond her years, answering, "I was born in America, so I'm always proud to represent my country." Lerner Tien, an up-and-coming American athlete, impressively played his way into the quarterfinal. Instead of inquiring about his loss to Alexander Zverev in the post-match news conference, a different reporter asked, "In the context of everything that's been happening at the moment with Trump and ICE, what does your heritage mean to you and how important are immigrants to American sport today?" Smartly, the American replied, sorry, I don't really want to talk about that right now. Sports stories are meant to inspire, not divide. Former South African President Nelson Mandela said, "Sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people in a way that little else does." In the end, success on the professional tennis court is about mastering the ability to focus on your game, fitness, and strategy. Coaches, fitness trainers, nutritionists, and mental coaches are all hired to help the athlete block out distractions and think only about their game. Tennis may be an individual sport, but representing one's country, not just at the Olympics, is always on an athlete's mind. Bringing home a trophy inspires younger players and fans to reach for more, as an individual and as an American. Too many reporters were looking for athletes to join them in using sports to divide rather than unite, and to denigrate America. Most tennis players were too savvy to fall victim to their cheap provocation. Herman, when tennis meets politics. Herman Locke's office was a small kingdom of paper stacks, coffee mugs with faded tennis ball logos, and sticky notes that spelled out one obsessive thought: find the story beneath the story. At 47, with salt and pepper hair and the eyes of someone who watched too many press conferences, the sports desk at the Global Tribune had come to see Herman as both a sage and a troublemaker. He believed in stories, not just facts, but the context that made them matter. On an unseasonably warm Wednesday morning, Herman was staring at his computer, watching the live feed from the International Open, the largest tennis tournament of the year. Something was unfolding, though the commentators called it a routine match. The court was buzzing, but it wasn't tennis that had the reporters murmuring. It was what happened after the match. A rising player, Serena Duval, had been asked during her post-match interview about a newly passed international law restricting visas for athletes from certain nations. Her response was cautious: "I just want fairness in sport." That was enough. Instantly, the commentators and sideline reporters started feeding sound bites back to the studio, splicing her nervous pause with reactions from diplomats, activists, and internet pundits. Within minutes, the Open was no longer being framed as a sporting event. It was a political flashpoint. Herman exhaled. He knew exactly where this would go, and it wasn't to sport. The line between play and politics. Tennis had always been regarded as one of the more genteel sports. White clothing, polite applause, hugs at the net, a choreography of grace and tradition. Yet sport never truly exists in a vacuum. Even the most perfect backhand can be wielded as a symbol. In Paris in 1968, protests shut down a Davis Cup match in what was later called the White Game, where political activists tried to stop a match because of international tensions involving Rhodesia. The film about that event captured how easily sport can become entangled with the world's chaotic outside forces. Still, Herman often wondered why reporters, the very custodians of accurate context, so often dragged tennis into politics with heavy feet and light reasoning. Was it ambition? Fear of being irrelevant? Or the irresistible lure of a headline that promised heat over insight? He thought about this as he watched social media explode with memes of Duval holding a racket in one hand and a protest sign in the other. Headlines included everything from "Tennis Star Takes Stand" to "Sport is no place for politics." The latter was always the favorite, the paradoxical cry that tried to erase context while stirring the pot. The assignment? Herman's editor popped his head in. "Take it," she said. "And don't just report. Explain. We don't need another column that inflames people. We need one that enlightens them." That was Herman's cue. He picked up his notebook and walked toward the press center, a glass box buzzing with microphones, journalists tapping on keyboards like urgent Morse code. He passed a TV crew arguing whether Duval had broken the rules of tennis by speaking about anything outside the baseline. Herman had the urge to laugh, but instead he walked on, eyes steady, mind hunting questions. The interview. Herman found Duval in a small player lounge, where she was stretching and listening to soft music. "Serena," he began gently, "do you think tennis and politics can ever be separated?" She paused, her gaze focused but weary. "On the court," she said, "I play tennis. That's my job. But I'm also a person in the world. When politics affect who can play, or how people are treated, it touches the game whether we like it or not." Herman nodded. There were no slogans here, just honesty. "What were you trying to say today?" he asked. "That sport should be fair," she replied. But reporters made it a headline about political activism instead of fairness in access. It's like a cheap spin class, keep everyone moving but nobody gets stronger. Herman scribbled that down. Back in the press room. The press room felt like a battle line. Reporters were shifting between sound bites, eager to know what Duval meant when she said, "fairness." Some wanted to tie her words to an upcoming election. Others wanted to argue that sport should avoid politics entirely. A few, exhausted, just wanted another coffee.